Online coaching is without a doubt one of the hottest opportunities on the planet right now, and for good reason. As an online coach, you can teach what you're passionate about, impact a lot of people's lives, make a lot of money while you're doing it. But one of the number one reasons why most online coaches fail is because they have no idea how to go about finding their niche. So in this video, I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. And I'm Brendan Whiting. I've worked for Andy Elliott for the past 3 years, and within the past 12 months, I've taken all the lessons I've learned from being here for the Elliott Group's growth and becoming the top producer on the sales team to start helping other online coaches scale and grow massive. So with all that being said, I'm confident that if you're an online coach, this video is going to help you a lot. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, guys. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you all my top tips on how to find your niche as an online coach. But before I do, let's talk about why you'd want to niche down if you're an online coach. All right, so there's a couple different reasons why I tell online coaches it's important to always niche down, but I'm going to illustrate with just a couple stories and examples before we dive. So the first thing I want you guys to imagine, right, is that you're on a vacation with your girl. You guys are out in another city. Like I took my girl to New York for Christmas last year, 2024. So I want you to imagine that you and your girl are out on a vacation and you guys are like, let's go out tonight. Let's have a nice dinner. And you guys are looking for different spots to have a nice dinner. And you go back and forth and you decide, hey, let's do a sushi restaurant. So you go on Google, you start searching, you start going through reviews. You narrow it down to 2 restaurants, right? And one of them is the world's greatest sushi restaurant. And all they have is sushi. And then option number 2 has sushi, fish, salmon, steak, freaking chicken breast. It has everything you can possibly imagine. As a consumer, if I see those 2, I can only naturally assume that the restaurant that only serves one food item and claims to be the best, if both of them are claiming to have the best sushi in town, I'm going to choose the one that only offers sushi. Because it's hard for me to wrap my head around one restaurant having the best steak, chicken, sushi, and everything else on the menu. So from a marketing perspective, that's why niching down as a coach is so important. Because when you come out to your market and you go out into the marketplace and you say, guys, I'm the best at building a personal brand, and I'm the best at sales, and I'm the best at mindset, the more things you add to the plate, the less people are going to believe you, right? You'd be better off with this strategy. Guys, I'm terrible at sales. I'm terrible at personal branding, but my biggest strength is mindset. See, I learned a long time ago when it comes to persuasion, if you want to get people to believe you're good at something, don't tell them all the things that you're good at. Tell them all the things that you're bad at. And then at the very end, say, but I'm really good at this, right? So you guys have to understand that from a marketing perspective, when you're going out to the marketplace, your niche is the foundation of your entire business. You have to carefully select it. And you can't be too general, or else no one's going to believe that you're really the best. It's a big market out there. There's more online coaches and gurus and influencers than there's ever been in the history of time. So if you're going out there trying to be a mindset coach, a sales coach, sales trainer, that the market's flooded and there's guys at the top that are getting all the leads and all the attention, and then everybody else is just getting the leftovers. Instead of trying to compete in a pool where there's billions and billions of people, you're better off identifying a concentrated niche and attacking that. All right, now let's jump into example number 2. So now I want you guys to imagine that you're living life, right? Everything's good. You know, just imagine where you're at right now. Life's good. And you wake up tomorrow morning and you find out some real bad news, okay? You have a heart problem. You know, it starts out and it's kind of irritating you a little bit. You notice your heart's beating a little faster than normal. And then pretty soon you schedule a visit to the doctor. Couple trips later, going through, talking to a couple different specialists in the healthcare facility, you get the bad news. Sir, you need heart surgery, right? And you're shook and you're real upset. But now you got a choice to make. You go online or you talk to your healthcare provider and they say you need open heart surgery, you know, and you have a choice now to pick who's going to be doing your open heart surgery. And you got 2 options. You got a general doctor, which general doctors can offer a lot of different services. A general doctor can do heart surgery and any other surgery you can imagine. Let's just say there's at least a dozen different surgeries a general doctor could do on you. You got this general doctor over here on the right, and you got this heart surgeon over here on the left. This heart surgeon, they've both done, and the general doc, they've both done 1,000 surgeries. except for the general doc has done 1,000 surgeries, but 100 of each of 10 different types of surgeries. One of those being heart surgeries. So he's only successfully done 100 surgeries when it comes to open heart surgery. Now over here, this heart surgeon, he's done 1,000 surgeries as well. So we've done the same amount, except for all of his have all been successful and they've all been open heart surgery. If you're trying to get the best results, because this is an open heart surgery, and if you F it up, you're screwed. Who are you going to go with? You're going to go with the general doc who does 10 different types of surgeries, and he's in one room all within a day, within an 8-hour shift. He's in one room doing this surgery, then he's doing heart surgery, then he's doing another one. Or you're going to go with the guy who does heart surgeries all day long, and that's all he's focused on and spend his whole life specializing in. I know which one I'm going to pick. That's all I can say. And you guys got to realize that too, that, when you choose your niche and you master it, there's two things. This is two-pronged. One, if you choose something and you really concentrate on a specific niche, you're going to get really good at it really, really fast, and you're going to become the best, just like the heart surgeon. Also, again, from a marketing perspective, when people look at you in the market and they have option A or option B, they're going to go, who's gotten the result that I want more times? Who's done more reps? So these are a couple examples to just illustrate why you got to niche down as an online coach. So hopefully by now you're starting to really understand it. And also, last thing I'll tell you is this. If you guys look at colleges and you look at the traditional school system, which us online coaches, we like to dog, right? Because the school system failed most of us. But if you look at colleges, what you'll understand is the college degrees that pay the highest are the specializations. You look at lawyers, engineers, and medical professionals. Those are the highest paid college degrees. Why? Because if I get a general business degree, I'm only so useful. I know surface level knowledge. If I become a lawyer or an accident lawyer or a divorce lawyer, divorce attorney, well, now I'm specialized and people pay more for specific results. So now that you guys understand why you should niche down, all right, so now you understand why it's important to niche down as a coach. And now you're like, well, Brendan, how do I pick my niche? There's so many different things I could do. Which one should I actually pursue and attack? And again, you guys got to understand that choosing your niche is the foundation of your entire business. It's the most important decision you could ever make. Let's jump in, and I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to choose your niche as a coach. Number 1, this one's super important. So at this point, you're going to get writer downers. So I recommend you grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, and start taking notes. First one goes like this. Do what they did, not what they do. Okay? So let's elaborate on this a little bit. When you look at some of the top brands and personal brands and influencers out there in the marketplace today, the people that are bringing in the most revenue and the most attention with their coaching businesses, you look at guys like Gary Vaynerchuk, Andy Elliott, Alex Hormozi, Grant Cardone, just to name a few. And there's plenty others. What a lot of online coaches do, where they really screw up, is they go, okay, I want to build a personal brand. And they look at the 4 guys that I just named, the guys that are at the very top, getting the most attention, the most revenue. And they're like, all I need to do if I want to grow my brand and build my authority within a niche is do exactly what they're doing. So they watch Andy Elliott, Alex Hormozi, Grant Cardone. They see what they're doing. They see they're posting these cool B-roll reels, hopping on private jets, things like that. They're talking about what they do in their day-to-day life. But what they find, though, is that their brand doesn't grow. And that's because these high-level influencers have what's called the famous person effect. Even if Alex Hormozi, Andy Elliott posted a simple picture of them, if you and them posted the exact same post, selfie video, saying some motivational line, some cliche motivational line, if you guys posted that, the same exact message, the high-level influencer would get 1,000 times more engagement because it's who said it, because they're already famous. A lot of people say, I got to do what they do if I want to become successful. But the reality is, if you look at all of those people I just named, they all started out in a niche before they became famous people. They all became the best at one thing. People don't realize that Hormozi sold a gym company for $46 million before he ever became a general business coach. Andy Elliott, when I joined Andy, we were still only serving the automotive industry, making millions of dollars helping automotive dealerships before we ever decided to start helping other industries. And you look at Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's a general influencer and he talks about social media marketing branding. But where did he start? He started in the wine industry. It's very important that you understand right now that until you bust through the famous person wall and you become known, you have to stick to a niche. You got to really get dialed in on your niche and become an expert at one thing. And I like to put it like this. Once you get to a certain level with your skill set, you will bust through the wall. And what starts to happen is I'm not interested in ever being a basketball player, but I do follow LeBron James on Instagram because he's the best and his greatness inspires me. Once you get so great at your niche and you become a true sign of greatness, a true image of what greatness can look like and people can model, then the whole world will start to follow you even while you're still inside your niche. I've seen this play out with Andy, and I've seen it play out with almost every single coach that I've worked with so far. So first things first, before we go into the next one, if you're still clinging on to that old idea that being a generalist is the way to go, do what they did, not what they do. Let's go on to number 2. All right, guys, we're on to tip number 2. And this one is where we're going to get really tactical, okay? So I always like to tell the coaches that I work with, there's 2 types of niching down. You can do industry niches or you can do skill set niches. Now, let me give you an example. I worked with a guy and he told me that he wanted to be a sales trainer. The first thing I said was, good luck with that because it's so flooded. That's what we like to call a red ocean, meaning it's flooded. The word sales trainer, sales coach, look it up on Instagram and see how many results pop up. And then imagine how much work it's going to take for you to get to the very top of that list. It's going to take you a long time. So that idea was immediately out the window. And I said, bro, you got 2 ways you can go if you're going to niche from sales trainer. I said, 1, you got to pick an industry, a specific industry, or 2, you got to get really specific in the skill set. Perfect examples would look like this. If you look at Andy, when we first started the LA group, we targeted not salespeople, we targeted automotive salespeople because that's the industry Andy spent 20 plus years in and had crazy results. So we said, let's not pretend to be masters of every industry. Let's target this one industry, being automotive sales, master everything about it, serve one specific customer, and get them great results. And then people believed us and bought into our program, and then we got people great results because we only targeted one industry. If you're like, well, I don't want to target home service sales. I don't want to target real estate as an entire industry. I want to teach a specific skill set. Maybe you teach mindset, maybe you teach leadership, maybe you teach sales or personal branding. Do that generally for all industries, but don't try to deviate outside of your skill set. So if you're a personal brand coach, don't try to become a personal brand and sales trainer coach. It doesn't work that way. Pick one skill set or one specific industry. But as soon as you guys start freaking trying to be the personal brand, sales, marketing, leadership expert, you're just blending in with everybody else. At this moment, as you're trying to figure out what your niche is, remember, you can pick a specific industry and become the guy in that industry, or you can pick one specific skill set, but only one, and then master everything on that topic. So that's number 2. Let's go on to step number 3. All right, guys, now we're on to tip number 3. This one's huge, and I want you guys to write this down. There's a method out there called the 1-1-1 method, but I actually took it, put my own spin on it, put the old Brendan Whiting spin, and I call it the 1-1-1-1 method. And this is probably one of the best lessons you can learn if you wanted to learn how to really target a niche inside of a coaching business. It goes like this: 1 person, 1 problem, 1 result, 1 process. I want you guys to write that down. And it works like this. When you're deciding your niche, there's a couple things you got to figure out. Okay. First of all, who's your ideal target client? Who benefits the most from what you offer? And don't be general on this. Go deep. Like, instead of just saying a 25-year-old guy that wants to make more money in car sales, let's go a little bit deeper than that. Does he have family, kids? What is he like? What type of language does he use when he speaks? What are some popular terms or things that you would say that he would recognize and he could relate with? So get very specific on who exactly you're serving. Next is the problem. What problem is this specific person facing? If you can speak to your ideal clients' specific problems that they're struggling with, you can get them to become attracted to you. They now know that you relate. Okay, you're not just somebody out there that's talking in general. You're talking directly to their problem. So understand what exact problem you're looking to solve. What result? What result are you offering people? I tell all the coaches I work with this: if you can just get really good at getting people a specific result, a specific person, a specific result, you'll never not make money. Very simple. Because assuming you choose the right niche, there's always going to be people there that you're going to be ready to serve. So one result, where are we taking them? Where exactly are we taking them? And then one process. And what this means is what's your method for taking people from point A, which is the person with the problem, to point B, the result, the ideal outcome? How do you get them there? And then another thing that I love to ask all my coaches is, how long does this process take? Because if you can not only get in front of your ideal customer and explain to them clearly and get them to understand that you understand their problems and their pain points, and you can take them to their desired result, and you can make that promise in a certain time frame, now you're dangerous. So remember, you got the person, problem, the result, and the process. If you guys can just spend some time getting really clear on this, this will be the most important work you do before you go start creating content, creating a brand, generating leads, anything like that. So that's the rule of 4, and we're going to go on to number 4. Let's go. All right, guys, and just like that, we're on to tip number 4, and this is called the coaching triangle. Okay, so I want you to imagine right now, we got a triangle right here, and there's 3 pillars that you got to answer, okay? If you want to find exactly what your niche should be, all you got to do is ask yourself these 3 questions. What you're good at, what you enjoy, and what people will pay for, okay? So first of all, everybody in this world has God-given natural abilities, okay? Everybody's great, naturally gifted at different things. And most likely, these niches that you're looking at attacking, you've realized, whether you realize it or not, that you have some sort of natural ability with it, right? Maybe you're naturally good at sports. Maybe you're naturally in great shape and you have a great physique, right? Maybe naturally you're really creative. Whatever it is, there's no doubt there's a couple things or a couple areas, maybe even just one that's super clear to you, that you realize you're naturally really good at. If I were to go pick my niche, I would probably start by looking at, what am I really good at? What are some things I'm naturally gifted at? What are some things that you get feedback on, right? Like if you've had multiple people tell you the same thing over and over again, hey, you're really good at this. Hey, you're really good at that. Well, as you're looking at patterns, you're probably realizing that, dude, that could be your niche. That could be something you want to attack. Second thing is going to be what you enjoy. Okay, so I always like to say this. If you're going to pick a niche, you got to make sure that you're going to be obsessed with it. Okay, because once you commit to something, you have to become the best. And as you niche down, you have to study. You have to become really obsessed with this, okay? Look, I will say this. One thing a lot of people don't realize is, like, if you do pick a niche and you don't really like it, you can always turn around. Like, you don't have to, stick with this forever. I would say you're not getting married to it. You're just dating it, and you can get married long term. But with that being said, you still want to make sure that you enjoy it and you could see yourself doing something like this long term, okay? Because if it doesn't wake you up in the middle of the night with ideas that are just flowing through your head, and you don't want to read every book that was ever written on this topic, and it's not something that you just light up and get in the flow state, and you just get fired up every time you start talking about it, you're probably not going to be as great as somebody who feels that way about this specific problem. Make sure that this is something that you really, really enjoy, okay? And then the last one is, what are people willing to pay for? Because a lot of coaches make a huge mistake, and they go, I'm going to serve people in jail, or I'm going to serve people who, are poor. You want to make sure you're identifying an audience that actually has the money to buy what you want, right? That's one of the biggest things I see. Even if you're the best helping poor people, if they don't have money, they can't pay you. Here's a great exercise you can follow. Go out into your marketplace on Instagram, Facebook, whatever social media platform you're on, YouTube, and start to do some research on the niche that you're potentially looking at getting involved in, and ask yourself, who are the top 3 to 5 creators inside this niche? Who are some of the top 5 best people? And go look at those guys and do some research on them. See how many views they're getting. See what kind of comments they get. Go check out, blogs, and go look at their social media posts and show up on their webinars. Look at how many people are buying their books and signing up for their classes. And that will give you an idea of how much money is inside of this niche. Okay, so make sure you do research on these 3 things before you get started and before you really attack your niche. So with that being said, we just finished tip number 4, and now let's get into the last one. All right, guys, first of all, if you're still here at this point in the video, number 1, I'm super proud of you. You're probably actually going to kill it as an online coach because you got more of an attention span than these TikTokers, and you're committed to winning, and hopefully you're taking notes. So we're jumping into point number 5, okay? Tip number 5. This is the last one, and this is kind of where I'm going to give you your wings, and you're going to set out and start flying as an online coach. This is where, I'm going to give you permission to start attacking your niche and just trying it out, whether it works out or not. Okay. Because how could I ever, create this video for you to watch without first explaining to you before you set out on your journey that it's okay if you try out a niche and you don't really like it. Okay. See, because I think what a lot of people do is they procrastinate ever getting started, or they procrastinate going from being a generalist to a specialist because they're worried about all these subconscious things. They worry, well, what if I miss out on, what about all the money I'm going to miss out on when I start targeting one specific person? What about the rest of the world? That's a legitimate fear that a lot of people have. Or they think, I want to wait till I have the perfect idea and I understand my niche. I know everything about it and I know exactly who I'm trying to target before I start making content. And I'm going to tell you right now that if those two things haunt you, you'll never be successful. It's better to pick a niche and try it out and then switch later on than to procrastinate, never start making content, never try to niche down and become a specialist at anything, because you'll just stay average. Okay, so I'm giving you permission at this very moment to think about everything we've talked about thus far in this video. I know that when you first clicked on it, you have an itch, you have a potential niche that you're looking at. And I'm going to tell you right now that if you still feel that same way, like as the beginning of this video, as you do at the end, that's the niche you need to attack, just go get it. Okay. And this is tip number 5. This leads perfectly into my last tip, and that's validate the offer, validate the market. Because here's the reality. We're going super, super specific, right? You're going after a niche. And most likely when you go from being a generalist where there's lots of traffic and lots of people and lots of eyeballs on these more general topics, and you go down to a small niche, you probably will never really know exactly what your true potential would be inside of that until you try it out. I work with some coaches that are super niche, right? I work with a guy who literally helps investors flip land, but all of his training is on the sales call that you make to the person selling the land. That's all he trains on. That's his entire niche. And this guy is going to make 6 figures this month. And with that, I just want you to understand that you'll never know the amount of money that can be made in a niche until you actually try it out. And the first thing I tell all the coaches I start working with after we create their offer, if they've never had any clients before, is we got to validate this offer, right? Now that we have an offer created, let's go out, let's try to grab our first 5 clients, our first 10 clients, and let's make sure the market wants this. Let's make sure there's a need for it. And let's make sure that we can get people great results inside this niche, okay? I just want you to understand that whether you are crystal clear and you have absolute certainty in like who you're serving, what problem you're gonna figure out how to solve, and what results you're gonna get people, where you're still kind of blurry, whatever you feel it is at this moment, just attack it and try to validate it. And what you'll most likely realize is what was sitting on the other side of this fear is more freaking opportunity than you ever imagined. Okay, there's 8 billion people in the world, and half of them have Instagram and YouTube accounts today. So there's more than enough people to go around for all these small niches. So that concludes our 5 tips, and that concludes the video, guys. So if you enjoyed the video and you're an online coach and you're looking to scale, every week I'm dropping new content to help you take it to the next level. So what I want you to do, if you got value, is like the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Let's go.